Hey everyone, this is Dave from Scent Memories. I'm back to do another review. I couldn't be more excited. I'm super stoked to be back doing reviews again. And in this review, I'll be talking about the latest release from Roja Dove's semi-bespoke line. This is Roja Dove Semi-Bespoke 26. So if you're curious and you want to know more about it, don't go away. So welcome back. Before we do the actual review, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you can do so by hitting that bell icon down below. That way, when I do upload a new video, like every year, I'm just joking, I'm really trying to do more reviews actually. I'm trying to get into doing more content more consistently. So when I do upload new content, you'll be the first to know about it. So in this review, we're talking about Roja Dove Semi-Bespoke 26. For those of you who don't know, the Semi-Bespoke collection is a part of the Roja Dove portfolio. They are pretty much housed in the Haute Parfumerie in London, and it's one of the more upper tier fragrance line from Roja Dove's perfume collection. Now, the fragrance itself retails for 750 pounds. It's 100 ml per bottle, and I'm not going to get into the numbered collection versus if it's truly only 50 bottles per year or 50 people who can buy it per year. I'm not going to get into the whole debacle about how it was released and some of the misinformation around how it was released and the collection aspect of this specific fragrance. But if you want to know more about that, if you want to discuss it with me, I'm happy to talk about it offline privately. So if you want to shoot me a message, I'll be happy to talk to you about it. So this is again, this is part of the Semi-Bespoke collection. This retails for 750 pounds for a 100 ml bottle. You can get it a little bit cheaper when they have their Harrods 10% off sale, but it's still very expensive. Now, let's talk about quickly the presentation. Now, this is it comes in this, I bought it in this, I'm sorry for the reflection. I bought it in this singular box, so it has Roja Dove Haute Parfumerie here, and then it has Semi-Bespoke. So it has this black and gold outer box and this velvet inlay, so the bottle sits in here, in this inlay here. Now the bottle itself, this is Roja Dove, this is the actual bottle of Roja Dove Semi-Bespoke 26. It says Roja Dove Haute Parfumerie Semi-Bespoke in 26. So you have the actual number of the fragrance down below in the corner. Now the cap is very, very heavy. It's a very heavy metal cap. You have Roja Dove, I'm sorry for the glare again, Roja Dove Haute Parfumerie here on the cap. Now I'm personally, I've mentioned this before, I'm not a huge fan of this new bottle design. I prefer the old bottle design, the blue and gold. This new bottle design here, where they have for all the new Semi-Bespokes, it's just more Art Deco. It's more, I guess that that's what they were going for. I'm just not a huge fan of it. But let's talk about the actual fragrance itself. Before I get into that, a quick shout out to my PC family. Now, this fragrance I wasn't a huge fan of when I first smelled it last year. This is an Amber Woody, by the way. This is an Amber Woody fragrance, and it did launch last year in 2022, and it was meant to commemorate the 18th anniversary of Roja Dove's Haute Parfumerie. Now, again, I wasn't a huge fan of this particular fragrance. I thought it was a little underwhelming, and that may be part and parcel due to how it was released and how people were confused about the number of bottles being sold versus if 50 people can buy them. On top of, I really, really love a lot of my Semi-Bespoke fragrances, so I was expecting to be wowed right off the bat. Now, that being said, I really wasn't expecting to love this fragrance. Now I love this fragrance. I think it's an exceptionally well-blended fragrance. Now, let's talk about what we're getting with this particular fragrance. So with the sprayers, again, the sprayers are fantastic. I'm getting this wafts of this already in the air. So what surprised me off the bat was I was expecting to get that bright citrus bouquet that Roja Parfums is really known for, that beautiful citrus bouquet that you find in like Semi-Bespoke 3 or 10 or in Scandal, for example, or Danger. So I was expecting that, or Elysium. You don't get that here. What you get is this sort of bitter, tart bergamot with this lime, which the lime here is green. It's a little bit lively. And you get this delicate herbaceous lavender mixed with this kind of tangy, again, tart grapefruit. And this basil accord. Now the basil here is really prominent, and it gives this kind of spicy, lemony aspect here. So it's not a bright citrus opening. It's actually quite tart, a little bit spicy, and a little bit tangy at the same time, a little bit tart as well. But it's really, really, it's a beautiful opening. Now, in the mid, I get almost immediately this indolic, musky, sort of animalic jasmine. It's very, it's not like clean floral jasmine. It's very indolic. And then you get this, as it starts moving into the base, you get a lot of different heavier notes. So you get black pepper. The black pepper is dry. It's a bit dusty. And it actually reminds me, and I mentioned this, it reminds me of the dry, dusty quality you might find in like Annie Towers, Letter Desert Americaine. So it has that same aspect here. And then you get this forested, sort of smoky Palo Santo. If you've ever burned Palo Santo, like a Palo Santo stick, you know what it smells like. Then it's met with this galbanum. Now the galbanum here is a resin, and it's sort of smoky, it's a bit dry, it's woody, and it's used as a fixative here to hold down the rest of those darker notes. Now, what you're also getting here is this frankincense, and the frankincense here that's being used is not a frankincense that you might find on like some Bespoke 14. It's a bit piney, it's a little bit forested, and it's definitely demulcent. So you have this kind of forested, piney frankincense. Now you have the cedar as well, and cedar here is a little bit arboriaceous, met with this creamy, milky sandalwood. So you have a lot of this woody nuances going on here, some smokiness from the Palo Santo, and resins as well as black pepper. Now, as it starts drying down even more, you get this labdanum. Now, the labdanum here is leathery and ambery. This is not a leather fragrance by no means, but you have this darker note of leather and amber from this labdanum accord, which Roja Dove and Roja Parfums loves using labdanum in their fragrances. And what's really prominent here is the elemi. The elemi here is really big here. It's sort of balsamic, it's spicy, and it's paired with patchouli. Now, patchouli here is the main center stage of this fragrance. This is I would say, predominantly patchouli-centered fragrance. Now, the patchouli here is not green, it's not super green, it's not super clean like you might find in other patchouli fragrances. This is a damp, earthy, musky, slightly green patchouli that's also paired really well with that elemi and the labdanum. Now, it's also met with this leather accord. And the leather here is very faint. You can just pick it up a little bit, but it's adding almost like a slight birch tar note, which is actually really apropos because you also have this gaiac wood here. And the gaiac wood here is very birch tar-like. It's also a little bit smoky. And when I first sprayed this after a few hours, I was like, why am I getting hints of Aventus? Why am I smelling Aventus on my wrists? And it's because of the birch tar. I'm not saying that all fragrances with birch tar smell like Aventus, but this had an Aventus-like quality to it. So, and you're still getting that creaminess from the sandalwood. Now, with the patchouli and the labdanum, it's all paired together. So the labdanum pairs really well with the elemi and the patchouli. So they're all really working really well together in this beautiful harmony. But what helps balance out those darker notes is this beautiful vanilla. It's slightly sweet. It's not a sweet vanilla, but it's slightly sweet, and it helps balance out and kind of give a subtle nuance to this darker base, along with this amber. Now the amber here is, it's pretty prominent in the base. As it starts drying down, you get this it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. Now you get this cozy, warm, slightly powdery, it's not a powdery fragrance, but it's got this slightly powdery amber nuance to it, or amber accord. And that's really needed because it helps with that vanilla add that level of complexity and balances out those darker notes like leather and gaiac wood and patchouli and elemi, which are really going to be standing out in this fragrance. It's a really, honestly, you have to give this time to wear, because once you start wearing this more and more, especially in the cold weather, I was wearing it today, just, sniffing it around. And when the cold air blew around me, it really picked up, and it was just gorgeous. It was a beautiful scent trail. It's if you're a patchouli fan like myself, if you love patchouli, this might be right up your alley. This is going to be different than any other fragrance from Roja Dove's collection or the Roja Parfums portfolio. So if you love patchouli fragrances and patchouli-centered fragrances, I would highly recommend checking this out. Longevity on me is actually fantastic. I get very easily 8 to 10 hours, if not more, and it projects off my skin for an easy 2 to 3 hours. It's actually quite beastly. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be mass appealing because this is going to be, again, those darker notes. It's very patchouli heavy, that damp, earthy patchouli. So I don't know if it's going to be mass appealing, but I think if you wear it in public, it's going to leave a really gorgeous scent trail, and you might have people wondering what you're wearing. It might smell really, really nice in the air. I would say this is definitely going to be a more dressed up fragrance. It's not going to be something that's going to be really casual. This is more of a serious, dressed up, more sophisticated type of fragrance. And more for the cold weather. Although I think you can still rock this in the warmer, or I should say colder spring days, colder summer days, but definitely fall, winter appropriate for sure. That is the latest from Roja Dove's portfolio from their semi-bespoke line. I would love to know what your thoughts are. Have you smelled this one? Did you like it? Did you think it was just okay, like me at first, and now you love it, like I love it now? Or do you think it's kind of a miss from the Roja Parfums line? And also, I want to know, what are your favorite from the Roja semi-bespoke fragrances? And lastly, if Roja Parfums was to create another semi-bespoke fragrance, what would you want it to be? What kind of fragrance? A fougere, an amber, an oriental? I would love to know your thoughts. So thank you everyone for watching my reviews and watching my channel, for all the support and love you all give. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be doing more reviews, I promise. I can't wait to do more of those reviews for you all. Now, this is the Roja Semi-Bespoke 26. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, stay safe and take care of each other. Bye, everyone.